So it's very important to
Yeah.
have, kind of micro goals, as, my good friend and mentor, Mike Seeklander talks about, and then kind of having more macro goals, having something like what's the larger picture, and then, okay, your larger picture is set here. Now, what are your stepping stones? What's going to build the foundation to achieving that larger picture?
Yeah, totally. Because I think a lot of students have a vague goal that is, I want to be a better shooter. Well, what does that mean?
Exactly.
Isn't that the
It's always, yes, I'd love to be a better shooter. Better than what? Well, I want to be better than I was yesterday. Okay, well, what's that mean though? Right? Like, how good are you now? What are you wanting to achieve? And you have to have like specific directives if you want to success and progression. It can't be like, well, I just want to be better. Okay, I'd like to wake up every day and I have the goal in mind. I want to be a better person. But what does that mean? Like, what
right?
makes
You
me
have
better
to
than
define
I
it.
was yesterday? You've got to have some sort of carrot dangling to
Right.
drive your progression.
And don't you have a class that sort of talks about that or
Man,
helps people with that once
no,
they get I know. Well, I just remember from the last interview, there was a class that so tell us about that.
we do. So I can take only about 30% credit for this. So you have interviewed, like I said, you've interviewed my best good friend, AJ Zito of Practical
Yeah, that was a
Performance.
great interview.
And AJ is, God, he's so amazing. I freaking love that guy. So AJ approached me about 2 years ago. And AJ has hosted me forever. We've taken classes together. We've known each other for a long time. But AJ approached me one day on the phone and we talked. We're worse than a couple of schoolgirls. I mean, we'll talk on the phone for hours. I mean, literally hours every week. And he
I'm
called me
just
one day and he
picturing
was
this
like,
in my
"Hey,
head.
I've got a question." And I was like, "Okay, shoot." And he's like, do you ever get approached with students after a class where they say, "Man, Tim, that class was great. You taught me all of these wonderful techniques. Now, if I just knew how to incorporate them and how to make them, like, how to practice them, that would be great. Do you have any tips and tricks to that?" And a lot of times, and I know AJ has done it too, where you're kind of looking at the student with this, like, this gaze, this 1,000 yard gaze, where you're just like, were you not just paying attention to the class and like what we were just talking about? But I understand though, and AJ did too. He was like, I see it all the time. A lot of people don't know how to implement technique or things that they learned in a class into their own training. Why hasn't anybody actually designed a curriculum to help a student learn and understand what value and how to regiment and how to log data and how to analyze and get feedback from training, and how to build a proper practice regimen? And I was like, you're a genius. How are we going to do this? And that involved then about a multitude of like 5 to 6 hour long phone calls as we created a 1 day program. And we were going to teach that 1 day program just to kind of accentuate either one of his 2 day flagship classes or one of my 2 day flagship classes. And it was going to be just an additional day where you could take the 2 day class and then you could stick around for a third day, either before or after the class, to learn how to implement these habits into better practice, into better practice habits. And we did the 1 day class and it was a hit. But for AJ and I, we left that 1 day class. We like, we got 8 to 10 hours worth of information. This is awesome. We got done with the class. We were like, man, we didn't get to cover this. We didn't get to cover this. We didn't get to cover this in as much detail as we wanted. And the next thing you know, we were like, man, this should be a 2 day curriculum. And so we didn't really scrap the 1 day, but we wanted to expand that 1 day into a 2 day curriculum. So our 1 day class was called Practice with Purpose, kind of a catchy title. But it also kind of, it really tells you kind of like what it is that you're going to be doing in that class, learning how to practice with purpose. And that 1 day program turned into a 2 day program that we call Train for Mastery. And that Train for Mastery is co-instructed. I don't teach it on my own. AJ doesn't teach it on his own. We teach it together across the country. So when we get clubs or hosts that want to seek us out for, their folks or members to be able to, to take a class where they can actually learn how to implement really good practice habits. And that's that's where this came from.